Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are going to be working on my very own Santoku knife. It's a Roselle brand, very nice knife. In fact, Santokus are my favourite style knife when it comes to kitchen work completely. I just really like everything about them. This knife has a really nice balance, very strong, and it's got the Cranston edging on it, which is something that was reinvented in my hometown of Sheffield in the UK, which meant to make vegetables fall off the knife a lot better. This knife is it's relatively sharp, but it's had a lot of use. As you can see, it's worn down. It's been sharpened quite a lot, and it's just needs a refresh basically. So we're going to use the Diamond Stone 400 grit and then turn it over for the 1000 grit. To finish it off, and then we'll strop it on some cardboard just for easiness. So yeah, we're going to give this a nice good sharpen. So first thing what I'll do is I'll quickly test just exactly how sharp it is. I've just got a small piece of magazine paper here. So right now it's ripping the paper rather than cutting it. If you're cutting it lengthways, this way it's fine because that's against it's through the grain, so it goes through quite nice and easily. But cutting it on the side, it's just going to rip, which is unfortunate. It just means that it needs to get resharpened, and then we can go from there. So yeah, we'll, as always with the Diamond Stone, we do like to put a little bit of water on there, just to keep everything moving okay, just to keep the slurry not sort of building up quite heavily. So we'll start with that. Just put a bit of spray of water on there. Make sure it's moved around nicely. So yeah, we're going to do with Santoku knives. It's incredibly easy to sharpen as well because they're near all entirely a flat belly. There's a slight little belly at the very top, but mostly it's completely flat, which makes things really easy for sharpening. In fact, it's so easy we can just simply do the push-pull method and it'll get the knife sharp really quickly. From previous profiling on this, I've done it to between 18 and 20 degrees. That's sort of the sweet spot for this style knife because it is relatively thick. It's a 2.5mm thickness at the spine. So yeah, we're going to work on this, get this blade really nice and sharp, back to sort of factory sharpness, and then we can we'll test it again and see how well we've done. So yeah, let's get sharpening. Now, if you are relatively new to sharpening like I am, it is a good idea to go nice and slow. There's no rush for this. You see people doing it super fast. They've been doing it for a long time. They're very good at it and they're perfectly comfortable with the angle. But myself and most new people doing this, you'll find that going slow is the best, gives you the best results. Just because you've got more control, and the slower you go, the better control you've got. And I can already feel the burr building up nicely on this one, which means that it's, with it being pretty sharp already and I know the angle of the knife, it's very easy to build the burr on the edge. So it's going to be quite a quick sharp on this one, just to get it to back to a really good sharp knife. Yeah, so there's a burr from the heel right to the very tip of the blade, which is good. It means we can swap it over and start working the other side now. and all we're going to be doing at this point is transferring the burr back and forth off the edge, just so we can work it downwards, just getting that apex on the blade. The good thing about diamond stones is you can be quite harsh with them. There's every single square inch of the item itself is going to sharpen your blade, and with it being a diamond stone and on stainless steel, it's not going to wear down anywhere near as much as a wet stone would. So you can be a little less careful as you will be. You don't need to hit the corners to bring it down. You can just sort of work wherever you feel comfortable to do so. And with that, you can also apply quite a lot of pressure to get a really deep grind going. Once that burn's transferred over, so we're just going to keep going back and forth on the 400 grit for a short while, just to get everything nice and transferred between the two. Now I'm relatively comfortable that this has been ground down as far as it needs to go on the 400 grit. So we're going to flip the stone over, put it onto the 1000, and then at this point it's honing the edge as much as it is sharpening as well. I'll just clamp that back into space. This stone, if you haven't watched one of my previous videos, you can buy it on Amazon for around £25, which is just under $30. And it is really good for the money. You can't really go wrong with a diamond stone, especially if it's your first stone that's working with. 400 and 1000 grit really are sort of your benchmarks for what you want to be on. If 400 for the hard work of getting the actual bevel itself re-angled, and then the 1000 if you just want to start to smooth things off, take out all those grind marks and things like that. Yeah, so it feels nice and clean across the entire blade. It's a pretty even bevel as well, the entire length through, so I'm happy with that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to keep working on the burr, just flipping it back and forward on the knife to make sure we get it nice and sharp, and then we're going to finish on just a strip of cardboard, or maybe even a strip of really fine sandpaper, and then we can get the item, get the knife razor sharp to where you can shave your arm on it, and we'll also do a quick paper test just to see how sharp we are. So I'm just going to do a bit of push and pull on this as well, just because I'm comfortable with the angle, so I'm comfortable to do some push and pull with it. The thing that I like most about this knife as well is the bolster is really up at the pinch, where you would pinch the knife to use. So there's no bolster actually onto the blade, so you can sharpen the entire blade, which makes the job very easy compared to some other knives, some of the cheaper knives that you can buy, where they have the bolster actually onto the blade here. It makes it so the bottom bit can't be sharpened, and over time it'll just get worse and worse and become a difficult blade to use. Because we're working on a 1000 grit, the burr itself is going to be finer, so you just need to feel a bit for it, and then once you've found that grit, the burr, just flip the knife over and do the same again, and just keep transferring the burr back and forward from left to right. Okay, so from the work we've done, I'm happy to say that this knife itself is going to be more than sharp enough to be able to shave with if we wanted to. But we are going to take the knife just a little bit further. What we're going to do is we're going to use some 3000 grit sandpaper, which is equivalent to about a 6000 grit whetstone. Get this stone, get the blade almost to a mirror polish, and then from there we'll do a cut test. So I'm just going to dry this stone off, because I'm just going to show you how I use this particular stone to apply sandpaper to it. So I'm going to get everything dried off, we'll come back and we'll get this stropped quickly, and then we'll show you just exactly how sharp we've now got on this knife. Okay, so everything's been dried off, everything is nice and cleaned up, and as you can see, what we've done here is we've actually attached a bit of sandpaper to the stone itself with a bit of kitchen paper in between. The kitchen paper will work almost as like a cushion, because with leather strops there is a small amount of give to it to make it so it keeps a nice smooth strop throughout the entire process, and it's sort of to work as that as well. Really cheap and efficient way to strop if you don't want to spend money or if you can't afford a leather strop or the sharpening compound. Now this isn't going to get a mirror finish on the edge, but it is going to get it very smooth and very sharp. And stropping, you need to always work away from your blade, because if I was to pull that blade back through, it would just rip this paper, it would slice straight through it. And it's the same with a leather strop as well. You need to take as much care as you can with that, with leather strops, to not put any nicks or dents in them at all. So you always push the blade away from yourself. So if you can either push it away like this or pull it towards. And you just need to keep doing that over and over again. All you're doing is transferring a very micro bevel, micro burr on the knife, and also putting a nice smooth polish to the bevel that you just created as well. So we're going to do 10 strokes one way, 10 strokes the opposite way, work down 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, maybe skip 1 or 2 if I feel it's going really well and it's polishing up really nice at so the 7 level, like doing a 7 push, 7 pull. Then we can sort of take it down to 5 and just keep going. But it's a case of just going back and forwards, doing equal on same on each side, just to get this knife really nice and polished. So we'll start with a push, and we're just doing, like I said, just doing this 10 times, just straight through. And with it being a 3000 grit, it's a super fine grit, so it's not going to remove much material at all. All we're doing is just cleaning up the edge, get a nice polish on it, getting everything looking really pretty. And then we'll do the same doing the other way. And as you can see, the paper itself is moving and folding slightly with it. That's what we're actually looking for to get a really solid polish on there, just to give it a bit of movement and bounce to make it as smooth as possible. This sandpaper as well is something that you can buy off Amazon. I bought, it was a pack of 36 different grit sheets. You get half a dozen 3000 grits on there, and that cost me £5, which is about $7, $6–7, something like that. And you can use these over and over again. You would only really start to sort of change them out when you notice that the sandpaper isn't sort of removing any material at all. But if you keep them dry, keep them neat, keep them safe, they will last you for a long time if you treat them well. Same as anything else really. I've really not had to do much strop at all on this. It's brought the edge up really nice and well. It's not a mirror polish, but it is very, very smooth and has a nice shine to it. So I'm just going to do a few more strokes, just one forward, one back, just to get everything nice and equal. And then we'll do a quick cut test for you, just to show exactly how sharp this knife has now got. Just with 10–15 minutes work, you can get your knife back to sort of as sharp as it is when it came out of the factory. And that goes for any knife really, even if you've got a very cheap sort of £1 knife that you buy from your local pound store or thrift shop. You can get those really sharp. You have to be a bit more careful with the type of stones that you're using, just based on the material themselves won't be fantastic, so you have to be a little bit careful. But this technique works all the way up to the highest end knives, your Wusthoffs and your Victronics and things like that. Okay, so I'm really happy with this. I think this knife is incredibly sharp at this point, so I'm just going to grab a sheet of paper and we're going to test it along the edge, along the long length, which is what I was having trouble with initially. So it was cutting the long side, not the short side. The short side was cutting easily anyway, so that was absolutely fine. But it was on this long side that was having problems. And as you can see, absolutely glides through it. So with as simple as it's been about 10 minutes I've worked on this knife, including sort of clean up and everything. Everything has gone, just starting to grab there, but everything has gone really well, and this knife is razor sharp. You won't be able to see it, but yeah, you can just lift hairs off your arm off this. Super sharp, very, very clean. I'm very happy. Like I said, this is not an expensive knife by any stretch of the imagination. It was a gift to myself that I was given, but I do know that it's about a £25 knife, so not expensive at all. Something that everyone can sort of have in their repertoire of kitchen knives. And personally, like I said, Santoku knives are my favourite type of kitchen knife. They're just so functional. Everything's really good about them. Just a bit of clean up there. But yeah, with that being said, easiest knife sharpening you can do is on a stone and then polish up, even if it's on superfine grit paper or a strop if you've got one. There are a few different things that you can strop with. You can strop with cardboard if you've got the stropping compound, sort of a polishing compound that gets the edge really nice and sharp and polished. But just doing this, it's so cheap, so easy to do, and it will get your knife really sharp. As you can see, it's made a massive difference. So overall, very happy. Like I said, it's Rockwell, and this is around a 55 Rockwell, so it's your very sort of standard sharp sort of hardness. So really easy to sharpen, but it will lose the edge quickly, but it's easy to put the edge back on. So with this, I sharpen it probably about once every month, just to get it back to its out of the box sort of sharpness. But yeah, that's all we need to do. 10 minutes work once a month, your knife is as sharp as you need it to be. So thanks for joining me, it's been an absolute pleasure. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Next video is going to be on what's called a karambit blade, which is a hook knife. Something that's notoriously hard to sharpen. So I'm going to show you something that I sort of made up myself to work with, and it makes it so those type of knives are really good to sharpen as well. I do have a paring knife, or a peeling knife, which has the sort of angle that I'm talking about, where you can see that the belly comes inwards on this. If you do it on a sharpening stone, all you're ever going to do is hit the apex of that belly and the heel here. You're never going to get into this point because it just doesn't touch the actual stone itself. So there's a very cheap, very efficient way of doing this, and I'll show you that in my next video. So thanks for joining me, and don't forget to like and subscribe.